Dasht-e Kavir Desert, Iran, the 14th of March, 1984. In the endless dunes of Iran's Great Salt Desert, 12 military vehicles and 50 soldiers vanished without a trace. No bodies, no wreckage, only tracks that ended in perfectly circular patterns. From the depths of my collection, the War Maestro brings you a tale of ancient powers awakened by modern warfare, and the price of trespassing in battles that were never ours to fight. The classified documents lay before me, their pages yellowed by time, but their horror undimmed. Operation Dawn 7, they called it, a strategic push through the Dasht-e Kavir Desert during the Iran-Iraq War. The year was 1984, and the Iranian military command had dismissed the warnings of local Bedouin tribes about the Great Salt Desert's guardians. Captain Amir Hosseini's personal log detailed their convoy's departure at 0400 hours. 12 vehicles, 50 men cutting through the pre-dawn darkness with confidence born of military precision. Their mission: establish a covert supply route through the desert's heart, bypassing Iraqi radar coverage. Standard procedure dictated they maintain radio silence except for hourly position checks. The recovered transmission logs show nothing unusual until 0700 hours. Then, the static-filled voice of Lieutenant Rahimi. Command, this is Echo 7. Barometer showing impossible readings. Temperature dropping. Request. The rest was lost to interference. Military meteorological records from that morning reveal an anomaly. A perfectly circular, low-pressure system, 10 kilometers in diameter, materializing over the convoy's position. No natural weather pattern moves with such geometric precision. At 0730 hours, Captain Hosseini broke radio silence. His voice, usually steady through years of combat, trembled. Multiple contacts, all sectors, no visual confirmation. The whispers, they know our names. In the background, men shouted coordinates at empty horizons, orders to hold fire mixed with prayers in Farsi. The final transmission came at 0745 hours. Not panic, not screaming, but something far worse. Captain Hosseini, speaking with unnatural calm. They say we're trespassing. They say this isn't our war. They're right. Then silence. Just the desert wind howling through the radio static. The military investigation that followed revealed layers of warnings ignored. A recovered geological survey from 1977 detailed strange magnetic anomalies throughout the Dasht-e Kavir. Metal objects would rust at accelerated rates. Compasses spun wildly in certain areas. Most telling were the ancient stone markers found half buried in the sand, carved with Sumerian cuneiform that translated to a single phrase: borderlands of the smokeless fire. Local Bedouin Sheikh Ahmed al-Rashid had attempted to warn the Iranian military command 3 weeks before Operation Dawn 7. His testimony, recorded by a junior intelligence officer and subsequently classified, spoke of the desert's true inhabitants. The Djinn have waged their own wars here since before mankind learned to write. They tolerate our passing through, but your armies, your machines, your arrogance in thinking you can claim their battlegrounds, they will teach you the cost of such pride. The intelligence officer's report was dismissed. Modern warfare had no room for ancient superstitions. Yet the same report contained a detail that would later haunt its readers: a precise map of areas where Bedouin tribes refused to camp, forming a perfect circle around the region where the convoy would vanish. Aerial photographs taken hours after the convoy's disappearance showed something extraordinary. The vehicle's tracks in the sand formed intricate geometric patterns, spiraling inward toward a central point. When overlaid with Sheikh al-Rashid's map, they aligned exactly with the boundaries of the Forbidden Zone. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a British archaeologist consulting for the Iranian Heritage Organization, discovered unsettling parallels. The patterns matched ancient Sumerian depictions of doorways between worlds. Her report included a warning that was also dismissed. These aren't random tracks. They're a message written in a language older than civilization. And it's saying, trespassers beware. The military's official response was to classify everything. Yet in the margins of one document, a senior officer scrawled a note. What if we didn't start this war? What if we're just caught in the crossfire of something far older? 2 days after filing his report, that officer requested immediate transfer from the region. His reason, stated simply, the whispers. They've started. Captain Hosseini's recovered journal reveals the first signs of the impending horror. At 0600 hours, Private Mehdi Karimi reported an anomaly. Their radio picked up fragments of transmissions in ancient Aramaic. The linguistic specialist aboard, Sergeant Farshad, confirmed the dialect had been dead for over a millennium. The desert seemed to close in around them. The convoy's lead vehicle reported wind resistance at impossible levels, despite meteorological data showing calm conditions. Engine temperatures dropped well below operational norms, defying the desert heat. The military-grade GPS systems began displaying coordinates that changed with each viewing locations that would have placed them in the ancient kingdoms of Mesopotamia. Staff Sergeant Rahman's helmet-mounted camera, recovered weeks later, captured the first visual evidence. Through the pre-dawn haze, dark figures flickered at the periphery of the convoy. When soldiers turned to look directly, they vanished. Yet the camera caught glimpses. Humanoid shapes composed of what appeared to be moving smoke, their eyes reflecting light that shouldn't have been there. At 0645 hours, the convoy's psychiatrist, Dr. Javad, documented the first psychological effects. Soldiers reported hearing their names whispered in the voices of long-dead family members. Communications officer Zara Tehrani sworn she heard her deceased grandfather warning her in their childhood dialect of Farsi. You've strayed into their realm. They remember the old pacts. The recovered dashcam footage from Vehicle 7 showed the moment everything changed. A sudden sandstorm materialized, contained within a perfect cylinder around the convoy. Through the swirling sand, multiple infrared signatures appeared on their targeting systems, heat patterns that matched no known human or animal profiles. The thermal imaging showed them moving against the wind, their forms rippling like flags in a breeze that didn't exist. Lieutenant Rahimi's body-worn recorder captured his final orders. Maintain formation. Do not break ranks. But the recording also picked up something else. Beneath the howling wind, voices speaking in a harmonious blend of all human languages, repeating one phrase. The borders are sealed. The old war resumes. The last normal reading from any instrument came at 0700 hours. After that, even time itself seemed to lose meaning in the Dasht-e Kavir. The military investigation team's psychological analysis reveals how the soldiers attempted to maintain sanity in the face of escalating impossibilities. Captain Hosseini's log shows a desperate search for logical explanations. Enemy psychological warfare, advanced Iraqi chemical agents, or sophisticated Soviet technology provided to Baghdad. His training demanded rational answers, even as reality crumbled around them. Combat engineer Sadeg's technical readings told an impossible story. The sand beneath their vehicles had become ionized, carrying electrical charges that defied known physics. Their ammunition began to degrade at an accelerated rate, brass casings turning to powder within their magazines. When fired, the few remaining rounds traced patterns through the air that violated ballistic trajectories, as if guided by unseen hands. The convoy's medical officer, Dr. Nilufar Ahmadi, documented unprecedented physiological changes in the men. Their pineal glands showed intense activity on portable scanners. Core body temperatures fluctuated wildly. Most disturbing were the brainwave patterns. All 50 soldiers had synchronized into a single, coherent frequency that matched ancient Sumerian musical scales found carved in temple walls. The recovered dashcam from Vehicle 4 captured the moment rationality began to fail. Through the swirling sand, soldiers witnessed their own doubles walking alongside the convoy, perfect mirrors, except for eyes that glowed with smokeless fire. The doubles spoke in their voices, reciting memories no one else could know. Combat-hardened veterans broke down as the apparitions revealed secrets they'd never told another soul. Lieutenant Rahimi's final log entry betrayed the collapse of military discipline. The entity speaking through Private Karimi's double revealed classified details about Operation Dawn -5, operation plans that even Karimi didn't have clearance to know. How can we fight an enemy that knows more about our own military than we do? Vehicle 9's black box recorded the breaking point. Sergeant Major Abbasi, a veteran of 3 wars, aimed his rifle at an approaching figure. "Identify yourself!" The figure stepped into the vehicle's lights. It was Abbasi himself, but as he'd looked 30 years ago. The younger Abbasi spoke. "We were warned. The desert remembers the old treaties. They remember when kings knelt before them." The real Abbasi's response was cut short by static. When the recording resumed 9 minutes later, there was only the sound of wind and laughter that echoed like breaking glass. At 0715 hours, reality fractured. The convoy's dashboard chronometers began displaying impossible dates, centuries past and future simultaneously. Soldiers' watches ran backward, then forward, their mechanical hands spinning like deranged compasses. Time itself seemed to bleed in the Dasht-e Kavir. The recovered thermal imaging footage shows the moment the first soldier vanished. Private Naderi stepped from his vehicle to check a malfunctioning headlight. The infrared camera captured his heat signature, splitting into 7 identical copies, each walking in a different direction. All 7 Naderists turned to face the camera simultaneously, their thermal images showing cold cores that registered at absolute zero. Then they simply ceased to exist, leaving 7 sets of footprints that each told a different story in the sand. The convoy's electronic warfare specialist, Lieutenant Zara Tehrani, made a chilling discovery. Their radio now picked up military transmissions from every war ever fought in the region. Macedonian officers shouted orders in ancient Greek. Mongol cavalry coordinated attacks in Middle Mongolian. British colonial units reported positions in Victorian English. All these battles were happening simultaneously, bleeding through time into a single, eternal moment of conflict. Captain Hosseini's final, coherent log entry revealed the true horror. The wars never ended. They're all still happening, layered like pages in a book. The Djinn didn't just guard this realm. They curated it, preserved it. Every drop of blood spilled here, every battle cry, every last breath. They kept it all. And now we're trapped in their museum of war. The dash cam from Vehicle 11 recorded the desert itself coming alive. The sand rose in pillars that mimicked human forms, each one a perfect recreation of a soldier from a different era. These sand warriors carried weapons that had never existed in the same time period: Achaemenid spears, Ottoman rifles, modern machine guns. As they approached the convoy, each step left footprints that burned with blue flame. At 0730 hours, the convoy's religious advisor, Imam Karim, broke 3 decades of steadfast rationality. His body cam recorded his last words: "Allah forgive us. We didn't understand. This isn't a battlefield. It's a courtroom, and they've been waiting millennia to pass judgment on humanity's endless war." The next transmission came from everywhere and nowhere, transmitted simultaneously through every communication device in the convoy. It spoke in a voice that made hardened soldiers weep. "Your species wages wars in our realm without tribute, without permission, without understanding. Now you will join our collection. Now you will fight forever." The recovered mission data reveals the convoy's final, desperate attempts to escape their fate. Captain Hosseini ordered emergency protocols, vehicles arranged in a defensive circle, weapons trained outward, every available frequency broadcasting distress calls. But their radio signals bounced back distorted, carrying fragments of their own transmissions from hours into the future, voices begging past versions of themselves to turn back. The convoy's electronic warfare suite detected an impossible energy signature. The analysis software crashed repeatedly before displaying its final reading. The pattern matched theoretical models of time-space distortions. They were being pulled into what the technical readout described as a temporal singularity. Private Mahmoud's helmet camera captured the next horror. The sand between the vehicles began to crystallize, forming perfect geometric patterns that glowed with internal light. Ground-penetrating radar showed these formations descended for miles, creating a vast, ancient machine that had waited eons to be activated. They hadn't just crossed a border, they'd triggered a trap laid before the first human cities rose from the desert. The surviving fragments of video show Captain Hosseini's last command, a desperate charge north, all vehicles moving at maximum speed. For a moment, it seemed to work. The convoy broke through the sandstorm's perimeter, the howling winds dropping to silence. Then the recovered dashcam footage shows the true nature of their prison. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, and the stars above formed constellations that had last been seen by Babylonian astronomers. The technical analysis of Vehicle 3's black box reveals the final attempt. Lieutenant Tehrani had theorized that since their equipment affected the Djinn's domain, perhaps the reverse was true. They rigged their remaining vehicle's batteries into a makeshift electromagnetic pulse generator, hoping to disrupt whatever forces held them. The black box recorded the pulse's effect. For 3 seconds, reality seemed to shatter like glass. Through the cracks, they glimpsed other versions of their convoy, trapped in different moments, fighting different battles, dying different deaths, all of them real, all of them happening eternally. The last coherent recording comes from Dr. Ahmadi's personal log. The Djinn aren't just collecting soldiers, they're collecting wars themselves. Each moment of combat, each battlefield, preserved and replayed for their entertainment. We're not just witnesses anymore, we're becoming part of their collection. God help us. I can feel myself fragmenting across time. 2 survivors were found 3 days later, 50 kilometers from the convoy's last known position. Second Lieutenant Javad Farahani and Private Reza Karimi stumbled into a remote border post, their uniforms covered in sand that geologists would later confirm didn't match any known desert composition. Their debriefing, classified until 2019, reveals the final moments of Operation Dawn 7. The recovered biometric data from their smartwatches told an impossible story. According to the timestamps, they had experienced over 300 years of subjective time in those 3 days. Medical examination revealed cellular aging patterns that supported this claim. Their bodies showed signs of having aged and regenerated countless times. During initial interrogation, both men could speak every language ever used in warfare, from ancient Akkadian to modern military codes. Under hypnosis, they relived battles from every age, charging with Alexander's armies, defending Baghdad from the Mongols, fighting with Lawrence of Arabia. The memories weren't just vivid, they were supported by knowledge of historical details that had never been documented. Private Karimi's testimony described the convoy's final moments. The Djinn appeared in their true form, not as smoke or sand, but as beings of pure geometry, folding through dimensions we couldn't comprehend. They spoke all at once, in every war cry ever uttered. Your kind treats our realm as a battlefield. So be it. You will join our eternal war gallery, fighting forever in our grand exhibition of human conflict. The classified epilogue to the investigation contains a chilling detail. In the decades since the incident, every major conflict in the region has reported the same phenomenon. Sightings of Iranian military vehicles appearing and disappearing in the heat haze, their crews fighting battles that never end. Iraqi tank commanders in 1991 reported engaging World War II German panzers that vanished into sandstorms. Coalition forces in 2003 encountered Ottoman cavalry charging alongside modern insurgents. Lieutenant Farahani committed suicide in 1989, leaving behind a journal written in 47 languages. Its final entry reads, "We never left. We're still there, fighting every war that ever was or will be." The Djinn's collection grows. They watch us kill each other across time, adding to their museum of human savagery. Sometimes, in the deep desert night, I hear the whispers. They're still recruiting. The official investigation remains classified, but satellite imagery continues to show unexplained anomalies in the Dasht-e Kavir. Perfect geometric patterns appear in the sand, matching the formations of armies from every era of human conflict. And on quiet nights, patrol units report hearing radio transmissions in ancient languages, carrying the voices of men who died centuries ago and are dying still. If this transmission from the War Maestro's archive left you questioning the true nature of warfare, here is a place for you in our ranks. Listen closely. Do you hear whispers in ancient tongues through your speakers? Perhaps the Djinn are recruiting through new channels. Subscribe to access more classified files from humanity's darkest battles, and activate the notification bell. Some transmissions only come through once. Share this account with others who understand that behind every military conflict lies a deeper, darker war. Comment below. Have you witnessed unexplained phenomena during your service? Strange geometric patterns in the sand, radio transmissions that shouldn't exist, or perhaps you felt time slip strangely during combat? Remember, the Djinn's collection grows daily. Every battle joins their eternal exhibition. Sometimes, late at night, if you tune your radio just right, you might hear the voices of those still fighting in their infinite war gallery.